Everweird, where I am playing the Gunderholfen Mega Dungeon using the Beckme D&D rules from the 1980s and 90s, playing that solo. It is the morning of the 28th of the month of Corn. Virago, Talira, Faqual, and Blaine have returned to Longfelt to get the means to transport the entire hobgoblin armory, which they stole, back to the city so they can make some money off of it. Virago has made their entreaties to the brothers who run the adventurer's Shop and Smithy. That's Boltaney, Gunth, and Harford, and said, we need to get a wagon. We need to get up there today so that we can offload this and get back. This also means that they need to hire some more firepower to go with them because they need some kind of guards transporting this. So they make a deal with Harford, Boltaney, and Gunth. I'm thinking they're going to say, so normally, like if they were selling this equipment, it might be sort of like half the cost. It might be a little bit less. They gave them 30% for the armor, but that was hobgoblin armor. It was made for hobgoblins, so they were going to have to, do a little bit of modifications and refurbishment to get it back to something they could sell. With this equipment, it's going to be in good shape. Like, these weapons can be used by anyone. Harford and his brothers can certainly use this. Let me do a little bit of calculation here. So for example, like a halberd is 7 gold and there were 20 of them. If they gave me 3 gold for each, that would be 60 gold. I think we're going to stick to our guns and say 50%. We're going to say, you give us half of what this is worth, and then maybe between us and the brothers, we can split the rental of a cart. Presumably, like, the Armorer's Shop and Smithy already has a wagon or cart, something that they could bring with us. While Virago is negotiating all of this, Talira has what looks like they would buy all of their adventuring gear here as well. So Talira has come with Virago, I suppose, to do that. And they are purchasing more flasks of oil as well as rations and torches. Blaine has gone to, I believe, to Wakeman's Clerical Supplies to buy more health potions. In this case, he will probably be charged like I don't know if he'll get a discount as a frequent shopper or not. Standard rations are 5 gold for 7 of them. We still have a lot of iron rations in our inventory. For right now, I'm just buying the standard rations. We seem to be pretty good on torches. Oil to burn, is there a difference? I think I've looked this up before. No difference other than the way it's packaged. So buying oil to burn, we're going to buy, it's 2 gold per flask. I'm going to buy 14. It's going to be 28, and then the ration. So I have 16, 70 in gold left. Oh, plus I took 16 off of those hobgoblins in the last room. We make a deal with the brothers, Virago does, and says, if you provide the wagon and the horses, we will hire foot persons to guard you, keep you like safe passage back to the out there and then back to the city. So that's what we're going to do. Blaine acquires some health potions. I've gone back and forth on costs for this. I ran into something in Gunderholfen that said a health potion would be valued, a particular one that I bought would be valued at 400 gold. I was going by some advice I'd found elsewhere that said they were 50 gold. Blaine wants to buy 4 of them. I think Wakeman's is going to give those to him at 50 gold. He's going to buy 6. That's 300. And Blaine says, hopefully I'll level up soon so I can learn a healing spell. Faqual has learned a little bit about the mercenary companies in town and how to hire them, as they've hired other people. So hires how many do we want to hire? We want some light footmen. We want that leather armor so they can move pretty quickly. Maybe a light horseman as well. Let's say we get 2 light horsemen, 2 light footmen, and 2 archers. That's going to be 10, 14, 34 gold for the month. But I think we'll cut a deal on that and just say it's like 17. We're giving them half a month's wages just to participate in this expedition out to recover these weapons. Faqual is able to negotiate that. I believe Faqual is a pretty decent charisma. Well, an 11 charisma. Essentially, everyone has kind of gone off on their own missions. Talira and Virago have stuck together, but doing different things in that. And that afternoon, they are all able to meet up. Yeah, we've had that full watch of the morning pass by. They've definitely made sure that everyone they talked to knew the situation. We are headed out there right now because we are afraid of these hobgoblins getting to our friends or our other party members. So yeah, we're headed out with 2 light foot persons, 2 archers, 2 light horse people, and in addition to that, Harford, the armor and weaponsmith, and Pultaney, his brother, who is a retired bounty hunter, will accompany us. Gunth, who is a blacksmith, will stay behind, the third brother. We gather everyone at the gates. There's definitely like a feeling of exhaustion, like Virago just looks haggard. Cuts across their face and body, the armor looks dented. They've really been through it. It's clear everyone's exhausted. They've gone 18 miles overnight, did not sleep. They're headed right back out there. I think they're going to have like -2s on everything that they do. So basically, I'm just going to say the THAC0 of my main party is going up to 21 as they go back across the swamp. In other words, rather than calculating that -2 on the roll, I'm just going to move the THAC0 up so that it just makes it an easier number for me to keep in mind. So their THAC0 will be 21, and we're just charging across the swamp, exhausted, but moving. It's still, however we cut it, staying on the trail. It's going to be 3 watches during the day and 3 during the night. It's going to take, 3 encounter rolls during the day and 3 during the night. And we have 2 watches to get there, which means we will be traveling overnight. I believe I said something about how much the foot persons would cost and then did not subtract that from my inventory. Just going to make it even 20. We throw in meals for everyone. And here we go. We head right out of the gates in that afternoon. My party is very tired. The brothers from the adventurer's shop are very excited. The mercenaries are mercenaries. They just do their business. Here we go. On our first encounter, nothing. Second, nothing. Third, nothing. The afternoon passes as we make it about 9 miles, and we are continuing to push through that. Again, like my party is just exhausted, but moving as fast as they can. Nothing. These are on the encounter possibilities. Nothing on those 3 encounters. Night falls. We get out of the swamp and get to the entrance around Gunderholfen. I think at this point, this is one of those weird calls I got to make as a solo player. There are encounters around the Ganfall swamp. I don't think there's anything specific to like right outside Gunderholfen, but what I think has happened is that those hobgoblins are trying to figure out who got in their lair, and they have definitely realized at this point that their armory has been swiped. I'm going to be doing those encounter rolls once per hour, and I think if there is an encounter, it will be with hobgoblins. We have definitely told our hirelings, our retainers that are with us, as well as Harford and Pultaney, we're moving. Like, we have got to do this as quickly as possible. We're not stopping in this dungeon tonight because we're afraid, despite how secure it is, we know there's an entrance right to the hobgoblin's lair, and that could cause problems for us. We arrive here. One of the Dobahai division sees us through the gate, lets us in. What did I say? I've got 6 mercenaries with me, as well as the 2 brothers. So 8 more people. I've got 12 people flooding in here. We quickly set up a supply line where we are moving this armor out. We've got guards at the wagon outside. We've got someone definitely staying in here to just monitor the doors. Everyone else is just moving in and out with all the armor and weapons that they can. It's probably going to take an hour at least to load all that up. It's into the night. I'm wondering how late it is. Is it like 7 o'clock at night? I think just the travel across 18 miles. I guess I don't need to track it in dungeon turns. It takes them an hour to load up. Here's an encounter roll. 1. While they are rolling that up, 5 hobgoblins appear. They are 70 yards away. Are they going to be inside or outside? Oh, they're going to be outside because they can't sneak up on us on the inside. So if they're outside and I roll the wilderness distance, they're 70 yards away. We have got a lot of torches. We've got a lot of movement. I think 70 yards is appropriate for where we might see them. Yellow is me. This is on a surprise. Are we surprised? Neither side is surprised. So 70 yards away, we see 5 hobgoblins approaching. These hobgoblins see that we have got a pretty big army now. I've brought 8 people plus my party of 4, plus there's 4 more in the Dobahai division. That's 16 people moving in and out, and we've got all their weapons. Do these 5 hobgoblins do anything? First of all, Zenith and Talira are just going to take some pot shots and just fire some arrows over there with their newly acquired longbows. Each one of them rolled a 1. Dude, my dice are cursed. So just a couple of arrows go flying off into the night. I think just for dramatic effect, they've probably tied a rag on it and lit it. So we have these sort of tracers going through the air, firing at these hobgoblins. Oh, I've got those other 2 archers as well. Another 1. That's 3 ones in a row. And an 11 plus their AC of 5 is not going to hit them. But basically, like, fiery arrows are flying over at these hobgoblins. I think that hobgoblins, they're going to beat it to their area and try to come with reinforcements. They know, of course, that their lair connects to the goblins' lair. So when they spot us out here, they can run through here and eventually start slamming into that door. That's probably going to take another 30 minutes to an hour for them to get around the top of Gunderholfen to their entrance, recruit some guards, make it through a couple of portcullises and things like that, and get here. I think we'll be loaded out, but what it does is it convinces everyone involved in this, we need to move through the night. We cannot linger. There are angry hobgoblins and we need to move. So that really makes my decision there, because I was leaning towards having them stay the night within this room locked or camping with guards around a wagon outside. But yeah, with this hobgoblin encounter, I think we've got to prioritize moving back to Longfeld. Once we get the wagon loaded up, we disperse with a lot of the torch light that's around here. We're going to go through another complicated 20 minutes or so of making sure this door is locked. And we destroyed this door here in the goblin area, but we're going to have to just pile. There was some rubble over here that we could pile up. We had moved it over here, but we could move it to this door. Anything to slow them down. And then once we go out, we are going to do something to try to lock this. It's really locked from the inside. Wondering how we do that. I don't think we can lock it, because I think we can lower it. Like, there's some way through just brute strength we could lower it, but I don't think we could then lock it, just assuming it's like a key in the lever there that could lock it. Maybe we could break the key off or something, but I don't think we want to do that right now. I think we simply want to close it. You know what we will do, though, is we'll reset this spear trap right here. Maybe we can take out one of those hobgoblins if it comes back in. We get the wagon loaded up. Hobgoblins are probably approaching through here. They've probably got a larger number with them. We beat a retreat. So same rules as before. If in these first 3 checks for encounters, it's probably going to be a band of hobgoblins looking for us. We hit the road. It's the middle of the night. No encounters. There were 5 hobgoblins before. I don't think it's fair to say there's only 5 right now. Let me see what a number appearing for hobgoblins is in the rules cyclopedia. Every monster in old school or basic D&D has a number appearing score. I mean, I think I would just sort of house rule this if I were DMing a game. Actually, I don't think I would. I really love in basic D&D just disclaiming all responsibility for determining things like this and just letting a roll of the dice determine it. Hobgoblins. Number appearing is 1d6, so the 4d6... I'm assuming is with a leader. Yeah, that's what's going to happen. 4d6 of these things. There are 11 hobgoblins appearing. They are 50 yards away. Neither of us is surprised by this. They have obviously been tracking us 50 yards away. 11 hobgoblins. I've got 4 archers with longbows, and we do the same trick. We continue moving. Our archers jump into the wagon with all the arms, and of course a barrel full of 400 arrows. And we start lighting those arrows on fire and firing at these hobgoblins. Now Talira is going to have a 21 Thaco, so she misses. Zenith misses, and then my other archers just have a standard like 19 Thaco. A miss from the first, hit from the second, takes out one of these hobgoblins. I'm going to look up some Beckme Hobgoblin HD. I believe I've compared it before, and it's exactly the same as listed in Gunderholfen. Hit dice 1 + 1, so that makes sense. The average would be about 5 or 6 points for that. So there's 11 hobgoblins, and I take out one with a lucky arrow shot. So we're down to 10. Oh, they're 50 yards away. I'm just firing arrows just for effect. These hobgoblins are either going to have to charge us or otherwise just harass us in some way. Like, we're not slowing down, they're not slowing down. Maybe the thing to do here is to roll for encounters and just see if we encounter anything else. As this march continues, we're moving. We don't have any other encounters. The hobgoblins 50 yards behind us are never able to catch up. We kind of pester each other with arrows back and forth, but no one has the range to reach the other party. We just occasionally hear the zing of like a bowstring, and a whip, as in like an arrow flies through the night and lands somewhere short of its target. And we make it back to Longfelt with a ton of stolen goods. The guards at the gate are flabbergasted. This huge company of people, like 20 people coming in. Is that correct? I had 6 mercenaries and 2 brothers. That's 8. And then my whole company is 8. Right. So just 16 people coming in with a wagon full of arms. We tell the guards exactly what happened. We tell them about our march through the night. We tell them about the 11 hobgoblins who pursued us, pestering us with arrows through the night. It is the afternoon of the 29th of the month of corn, and we have just harvested an armory of hobgoblin weapons. So now comes a lot of bookkeeping, and then some rest and decision making for my party. But let me get on that bookkeeping right now. Basically, I've paid out my mercenaries. I think I could tip them. I could give them a little bit more for their trouble. Whoa, I flipped to a just random page in Gunderholfen and did not like what I saw there. That was a little scary. One of the big problems here is that I don't have a lot of these like weapon prices listed. If we're doing 50% of it just goes to the brothers, I want to get as close as I can to everything. So 10 falchions, 20 halberds, 5 spetums, 5 ranseurs, 2 bardiches. Don't know what that is or if I'm saying it correctly. 10 spears. It's actually 8 spears because I gave a few away. Probably fewer than that, but I mean, that's a good number. 3 scimitars because I had a couple. Talira took one up. 25 morning stars. 8 large shields. I'm going to see if any of the Dobahai division need anything there. 400 arrows. I'm going to drop that down to 300, and we're going to keep 100 of those. 5 quivers and 4 more suits of armor because we sold the 8 already. We already brought those in. So here we go with like halberds. Halberds are 7 each. I got 20 of them. That's going to be 60 at half price. Well, 3.5 times 20, it's really going to be 70, isn't it? Spetums, I don't have in the normal list. Ranseurs, don't have in the normal list. Bardiches, spears, 3. They're going to give me 1.5 for that. And I got 8 of them. It's going to be 12. Scimitars, don't have those in there. Morning stars, I don't think I have those in there. Large shields. It's not a shield weapon. Where are the... I'm seeing a shield at 10. I'm going to do the armor right here. So this is, I believe I sold it as chainmail. It's going to be 80. There's a shield. A normal shield is about 10. I would say because these are large, they would be, let's say, 12 gold. I think they might even be more than that, maybe like 15 gold. So far, that's probably my biggest moneymaker. The shields, arrows, 5 for every 20 quivers. It's probably a thing that's in the adventuring gear. Okay, now I'm going to go through the old school armory and see if, in their sort of extra stuff, if they've got some of these things. All right, I'm going to go through the old school essentials advanced fantasy player's tome to see if there's any of this stuff in the equipment. And I'm doing all this before I just treat it as, spears, lances, things like that. And I'm realizing that this is Gunderholfen is a game made for Osric, and I have Osric, so I'm going to go through those rules as well. To some extent, this is all such a huge haul that it doesn't really matter. Everyone's going to make out in this. I want an approximate cost in gold, not just for the gold, but for the experience. All right, so I really have come up empty on like specific prices for Ranseurs, Spetums, Bardiches, things like that. So I'm going to pick the closest equivalent in Beckme and just handle it that way. This goes all throughout the morning. I guess that's evening when we get back there. It takes a few hours to inventory, catalog everything. Talira keeps a close watch on all of this. Virago goes to the Silver Flogger and goes to sleep. They are exhausted and still licking their wounds. Evelyn, Zenith, and Grebe are helping guard. I'm just doing their hit points because they are my characters who are down on hit points, and they will, tonight when they do sleep, get back to full health. So at the end of that calculation, I am somewhat surprised that it is only 530 gold. 533. It's going to leave me with 1899 total. We feel good about that. The brothers from the Adventurer's Shop and Smithy feel good about that. It's just not as much XP as I thought it would be. So 533, plus we successfully escaped 11 hobgoblins. And in that feeling of like, am I doing something wrong? All of that divided up by 8 characters is 88 XP each. I'm bummed. I thought there was going to be a real dramatic leveling up moment here, and there is not. I'm just going to do my recalculations here. Yeah, so we retired to the Silver Flogger. The mercenaries that we brought with us also retired to perhaps something a little bit more upscale than the Silver Flogger. Perhaps they have gone to the Hare and Hound, a large 4-story, well-appointed inn catering to all classes of individuals. So there they are spending their gold and talking up these 8 adventurers who made off with so many weapons from hobgoblins. The next morning, we have a little bit of an uneasy sleep because we have so much gold with us, but the next morning we pay a visit to Clement, who is acting as our bookkeeper and safe house. We do this as surreptitiously as possible and leave a good chunk of our gold with him so that we can feel safe moving around the town without attracting too much attention. And we spend the rest of the day nursing our wounds, eating good food, and just talking about what is going to be next for the party. The month of harvest dawns on us. And on that first day, I think we are still resting and figuring out what we want to do. I know that things are going to get dicey. We had such a visible escape from the hobgoblins that we know there's this exit here, and we know we can go through the goblin lair into the hobgoblin lair. We're thinking if we do go back, I don't know which way is more compromised, and that's what Virago and Talira are talking about. And Faqual and Blaine as well. They're fully voting members of the party at this point. I think before, when we foolishly went into the goblin area and lost Tori, we went in with this, we're going to just use the burning oil and set fire to this whole place. We're really going to rout these goblins. We know that the hobgoblins are much harder to fight and contain. They have a higher morale score, meaning they're just fiercer and they do not run away. And so the party is faced with this this conundrum of knowing what Talira said a couple of sessions ago when she said, we're not fighters, we're thieves. We want to get in there, we want to map the place, and we want to get out. They talk it over, and they even talk about, Faqual brings up, what if we went back to the kobold entrance? We don't know what state that's in. We know that when we frightened all these goblins here, we left them no exit except through the kobold layer. Then we locked that up. We kind of trapped this door so that the goblins wouldn't come back in once they'd run in that direction. The kobolds and goblins may have had some kind of conflict that spilled over into the kobold layer, and it may, it's probably rearranged, whatever it is. We have a truce. Maybe we go in and we don't kill them, but we just explore more fully through their lair. That is definitely Faqual's chaotic suggestion. Talira feels like Talira's mission was to map all of this and deliver it to Balfour and say, we've mapped this, now you owe us. The original agreement that I went back and listened to was it was 100 gold for the first 3 levels, and I did not specify, at least I don't think I did, is that 100 gold per level mapped, or is 100 gold total for those first 3 levels? Talira nonetheless is saying, our agreement was to map this, and we told Balfour that we made a treaty with the kobolds, and we told them we would stay out of their lair, and we would rout the goblins in exchange for safe passage out of their lair that first time. So as far as I consider it, Balfour knows that we are not going to complete the mapping of the kobold lair. We have a really complete map of the goblin lair, fully complete, I would say, for the goblin lair. They didn't go in this room or a room here, but they heard someone leave this room. They could go back and investigate. The hobgoblin lair is the wild card. There is a pretty well-guarded entrance into it, and there are not enough, we just don't have enough information here. We know, they're looking at their map, they're consulting this, and they're saying, we don't know what's in this room. We don't know what leads down this hallway. We don't know what's in this room up here. There's a lot we don't know, but we do know how to get out of there and go to level 2 if we want to do that. The question is, how do we get safely past that portcullis and into here when we know that the goblins are on high alert for us? We're equally torn between those 2 impulses. Do we arm ourselves in some way that we can be sure of routing hobgoblins here and destroying them? Or do we go in and we say we're here for the treasure and that's it? There's sort of a third option, which I was just looking into in the rules cyclopedia, wondering how I could parlay with the hobgoblins. One thing we could do is maybe offer some of their weapons back. I could sort of retract everything we sold to the brothers and say we are instead thinking of delivering this back to the hobgoblins as a parlay. But I don't think that gets us anywhere, because that is, we took so much from them. We completely disarmed them. As the days go by and my party continues to discuss this, they spend another day in town. Same thing. They shop, they get meals, they talk about this. They all seem to be very much on the same page, as like none of them is spending a whole bunch of money wildly. Like, they're all pretty content with what they have. They're not feeling the righteous mission that they have in the past, this kind of misguided idea that they could go in and be the liberators. Instead, they're pretty realistic. They also know that there's little chance that they could take care of all the hobgoblins here. So they start talking about it in like realistic terms of, we've always seen 2 hobgoblins guarding this gate, and we saw 4 hobgoblins within that guard area. What if we come up here, we assault them from afar, we do our best to get into this room, maybe there's 4, maybe there's 6 hobgoblins in there, and then we just head south and go to the second level. And I think they decide that's probably the best way to go. Unfortunately, what it does is it really traps them in a position of having to escape through the hobgoblin lair, which they don't love. Nonetheless, that's what they do. They spend another day in town nursing their wounds and getting some good sleep and doing all the things they would do before taking an adventure. And they decide, we're going to head back across the swamp. We're going to spend the night there. And then the next morning, so the morning of the 5th of the month of harvest, is when they will attempt to regain access to the hobgoblin lair through the Hobby Gobby lobby. That's what they do. On the morning of the 4th, they rise and they head out across the Gunfall Swamp. 3 encounter rolls Nothing. Something. Great. It's a giant poisonous snake. Only one is appearing. It is 100 yards away. Are we surprised? No. So we do detect some motion about 100 yards away. We see that it looks like the movement might be a giant snake. How does it react? 6. I believe that means it's aggressive. Yep, it is aggressive. And I roll again in one round with a -4 to the roll. We take our full movement to get away from this, sticking to the path pretty closely. It does have more movement speed than I do, so it will be able to narrow that distance pretty quickly. So I re-roll with -4. That's a 1. The monster attacks, but it is still, despite closing some of that distance, it would take it 2 entire turns to get up to us. I guess if it sprints, that's a round or something like that. Okay. So it is just hauling towards us. Yeah, I'm not going to roll for initiative. It's so far away. We just take up position, seeing that it's coming right after us. And everyone that has a ranged weapon will try to use that. Faqual this morning has prepared magic missile. That's pretty much all he can do. So Talira, bow. A natural 20, a 1 hits this snake. Oh my gosh, this giant poisonous snake has a ton of hit points. It has 4, 9, 11, 17, 18 hit points. Nope, 19 hit points. Okay, that is 19 hit points -1. So 18 HP on this giant poisonous snake. Zenith, bow. Another natural 20. Wow, this die is super weird. For 2 points of damage. And then those with slings will whip those. But before I do that, let's see. Virago's got a javelin. 14, that's going to hit for another 1 point. Faqual, what the hell? Lets out magic missile. 5 points of damage. The snake is racing towards us, and all sorts of insanity is exploding around it. A sling from Blaine misses. A sling from Grebe misses. Virago has handed out spears to Evelyn and Balad. I'm going to re-roll that crack. Re-roll that crack. Okay. It was a 1. It was meant to be. And another hit from Balad for another 1 point of damage. I would say now the snake, by hauling through the underbrush, is close enough to hit us, or at least strike us on our turn. So I'm going to roll initiative. We get to go first. The archers. Talira hits for 4 points. Zenith misses. Virago, javelin. I think that misses. Yep. Ugh. Okay. Evelyn, javelin. Misses. Balad, javelin, misses. Grebe, sling, misses. Blaine, sling, misses. Faqual just stands there shaking. The snake has 5 hit points. It's gotten hit a whole bunch during this round. It's rolling morale, 7 on that. I would have thought morale was something in Osric AD&D. I'm a bit thrown off that Gunderholfen does not include morale scores, but maybe it just wasn't a thing in AD&D. It said giant poisonous snake. I'm assuming that's something like a rattler here. Yep, same number of hit dice. Morale is an 8. I rolled a 7. Okay, this dumb snake comes whipping in here at my fighters. Goes for Evelyn. Wow, there's no save if you have 3 to 18 HP. Okay. Wow. A natural 20. It bites Evelyn. No save. I'm going to look this up in the rules cyclopedia. Not trying to save Evelyn exactly, just shocked at that interpretation, if that's correct. Snake. If I'm playing this as a giant rattlesnake is a 10-foot long snake with brown and white scales. Blah, blah, blah. It says it must make a saving throw versus poison or die within 1 to 6 turns. There is no save versus poison here. This says the giant rattler has 2 attacks. This says this giant poisonous snake only has 1 attack, no save, 3 to 18 HP. I mean, I'm definitely in that range. So there's no save. I think 1 bite and Evelyn is dying within 1 round. So that sucks. I roll initiative. We go first. Virago lays in with their sword, hits the snake for 7 points and kills it. So the snake is dead, but so is Evelyn. This is a real setback. We are only a couple of miles out into the swamp. So we are going to head back to the city and once again put out the call for someone to join the Dobahai division. And we're going to have to postpone our adventuring back to Gunderholfen. It's funny, when I called out that we would be entering it on the 5th of harvest, I thought maybe I shouldn't call the day that we're going to be entering, because that might change. And change it did. R.I.P. Evelyn. We will hire another. I'm just going to roll that up really quick right now, because what I do is I roll the hit points. This new person will have 4 total hit points. They will come in with the same armor class that Evelyn had. And their name will be Rye. Rye comes in over the next couple of days. I think I'll take another day off in the city. But Grebe makes her pitch to Rye, and we have someone new join the party. We are going to give Rye a short bow as well, and I think we're going to buy one for Ballad also. I haven't worked it out exactly how much I'm going to split treasure with the secondary party, the Dobahai division, but I will split treasure with them. They are not simply being paid 20 gold per month. There is more compensation that they get as they adventure. So yeah, that the 5th passes, and we mourn. Talira makes another donation to the Temple of Cathalea. She is feeling like that is the only thing she can do when faced with this chaos and death around her. With this extended stay in town, Fakwal checks back in with Balfour and lets him know how things are going. Balfour is a little bit surprised at how dangerous this all is, but he will take that time over a couple of days. Let me look this up. I've never really looked up how it's prescribed that you learn spells. If there, in other words, if there's like a time limit for learning one, or a time constraint or anything like that. Oh, I see. You can only have so many spells memorized per level. So really, until I level up, I can't learn another. What I don't understand is, I believe there's instruction somewhere that the magic user knows 2 spells, can only memorize 1 per day. What I'm wondering is, like, why can't that, if that's the case, could that magic user not also learn a 3rd spell and just have it to put into rotation? Here we go. Learning new spells. When the player character begins play, the teacher gives them a spell book with 2 first-level spells in it. When the PC reaches 2nd level, the teacher writes another first-level spell in the book. I think at this point, just because of the time that it's taking for my characters to level up, Balfour is going to teach Fakwal and write in his spell book a 3rd first level spell. Balfour selfishly knows it would be great for Fakwal to know detect magic. So that is what he writes in his spell book. And I will pick up in session 13.